Well, Gqeberha shop owner could be in hot water for unfair discrimination against LGBTQI plus people. Activists have taken issue with a sign outside a shop which reads, quote, LGBTI not welcome at Gardi catering plastics, save our children. Well, the Commission for Gender Equality is now going to go to the Equality Court over the issue. We can speak to the Commission's chairperson, Advocate Nthabiseng Sepanya-Mogale, who's joining us tonight on News at Prime. A very good evening to you, Advocate. Grateful for your time. So this issue has been in the news, from my calculation, for about 10 days now. How long has it actually been going on?
Yes, I think it's around that time. And in that time, we have been able we have received complaints from members of the public, members of the LGBTQI community, and just general human rights activists who are saying, Gender Commission, do something about it. But even if we had not received the complaints, it is smack bang in our mandate, where we are actually tasked to deal with any inequalities of gender and any other inequalities related to gender. So we were going to take it up anyway.
And in taking it up, you're now going to the Equality Court. What will you be seeking from the court?
Yes, we're going to seek relief. Number one, the poster must come down. Number two, we need to have a clear, unambiguous retraction. But thirdly, we would like, over and above, it's not a relief. This is an angle of mobilizing society to actually say that the leaders of the Muslim community must actually stand up and say, not in our name.
And is that the basis on which this has been done, where the sign has been put up because of religious reasons? Excuse me.
Yes, that is what they have said. They said they have a right, and right now we have about 600 or so people who are saying, based on the Islam or other Muslim religion that they believe in, they are not going to tolerate any attack or any objection, rather, to the owner and the poster that they've put up. So they have clearly put a religious angle to it. Whether it started off as such, it is unclear. However, now it has actually been taken over by supporters who have put an unambiguous religious angle to it, to say, we as Muslim people, we're saying the owner of the place is correct. We must isolate LGBTQI community members. They've even gone to the extent of threatening violence. Mm-hmm. They need to have their heads cut off. They need to have their hands cut off. We are not going to tolerate any members of that community. So there's been a clear association, whether initially it was or not. That is why I say now it requires the leaders of that community to stand up and say, not in our name.
And Advocate, these supporters, I think you said hundreds of them, have now expressed, if you will, their support for the shop owner. Are they all in the Gqeberha Eastern Cape area, or are they spread out across the country? I'm asking that in particular because you've now mentioned the issue of threats of violence, and I'm trying to gauge just how far or widespread those might be.
We are actually not sure, because we have got SMSs coming through a few of our staff members where people are threatening. So we are actually not sure how widely that group is based. And for all we know it could actually be the same person phoning 10, 15 times. But so far, that is the situation. So we cannot say how far widespread it is nationally. But we've got some 600 people in South Africa saying they will not tolerate to share space with members of the community, of the LGBTQI community, whereas our Constitution, Section 9.3, says they too have a right, full rights for that matter.
And how worried are you that, in fact, someone may make good on the threat and actually, indeed, either harm or try to harm someone who is lesbian, gay, trans, bisexual, etc.?
Very, very worried. It is a very worrying situation, more so against the backdrop since 1994 of members of that community actually being killed, being raped, being violated in so many other ways. And now it has always been individuals. Now it has escalated to a group associating themselves with a particular religion, almost formalizing it. So it is worrying. It is a clear escalation from the individual attacks that had been happening since 1994, 1992.
What about the court action then? Do you not fear that perhaps the court action may be used to inflame some of the hatred and discrimination and ultimately spill over and appear as acts of violence or translate into acts of violence?
No, we're going to the court for the court to pronounce and say those people have got rights too. Be aware that you will be violating their rights if you do that. The rights enshrined in the Constitution, the rights enshrined in Pepuda and so many other legislation in South Africa that says they have equal rights. That's number one. But number two, we are also going to say we cannot sit back and be scared that it will inflame the situation and watch people's rights being violated. Once the violation happens, that going to court has got to be a deterrent.
And lastly, Advocate, you're talking about issues around rights, right? And one of the rights that business people or anyone with property will often invoke is the right to reserve admission versus discrimination in the context of a business. How do we make the distinction?
Section 9(4) of our Constitution says anything that violates the rights as pronounced in 9(3), which includes the right to gender, the rights to sexual orientation, the rights to religion, to race, to ethnicity, actually are an unfair discrimination. And then 7(2) of the same Constitution actually says the state must intervene. So we are going there to actually demand that a pillar of our society pronounce and confirm the fact that this is a violation. But when you look at Section 36 of our Constitution, there is a list there that pronounces that not every right is absolute. Freedom of expression is one such. It is not absolute. Anything that goes against the Constitution and the pillars of Constitution and the spirit of the Constitution is actually invalid and unlawful and can never be justified in any other way.
Advocate Nthabiseng Sepanya-Mogale with the Commission for Gender Equality. Good to speak to you, Chairperson, in fact, of the CGE. Thank you for your time.